Hi there, this is the video to help you with Modal Interchange Writing Project, where we feature a lot of modal interchange chords. Now, some of the things in the project are based on this really interesting and most people consider it kind of a masterpiece jazz tune by Sam Rivers called Beatrice. So let's just start by listening to that and see what you notice about it. Its use of modal interchange, its use of melody and melodic motives. So that's a version by the great Chet Baker on trumpet. I will have posted this, and I posted that little audio link there. You open that by, make sure you open the file in Adobe Reader and then double click on that and you'll get this audio. Or if that doesn't work for you, you should be able to click on the title and get a YouTube version to come up. Okay, so just think for a minute about what's going on with the chord melody relationships. We may or may have not discussed this already in class. I'm not sure how much time we're going to have to do this today, but we'll see. But you notice that a lot of rich tones are being featured in the melody. Major 7, what's that? Ninth, major 7, ninth. That's just the 5th, but 11th, major 7th, sharp 11th. Okay. Notice another thing that's happening. There are periods of time where notes are being held over as chords change. And the color of the note now changes as the chords change underneath it. So this 11th becomes a 5th. This sustained F, it's not actually a tie, but it's repeated, goes from being, you tell me, hopefully you said flat 7 to major 7. And how about this one? It starts off as a and becomes a 5th on a minor chord to a sharp 11 on a major 7 chord. This is a really cool technique, and it ties in with the concept that we found that contiguous 2/5-2/2 sometimes, which is melodic pedal point. The idea that you keep a melody constant while you change something underneath it can be really effective. What else now? What do you notice about the chords? Why don't you pause the video and do a quick analysis of the tune, do Roman numerals. Okay, and then start up the video and see if your analysis was correct. Okay, we're back now, and I can't write it in here, but I'm just going to tell you. Okay, 1 major 7, flat 2 major 7, 1 major 7, flat 7 major 7, 6 minor 7, flat 7 major 7, 6 minor 7, 4 minor 7, 3 minor 7, 4 major 7, related to a 5/7 of 6, 2 minor 7, flat 2 major 7, 1 minor 7, flat 2 major 7, and then it repeats back. Now what do you notice about that? Hopefully what you notice is that there's a ton of modal interchange chords, but at the same time we do not modulate. And think for a minute, why are we able to play that many chords outside the key and not confuse the ear as to what key we're in? And hopefully what you're thinking is that you realize that they are interspersed in such a way as that the key is constantly being reestablished. In other words, they're being used heavily as cadential chords. Here's our opening phrase, here's our cadential chord, back to the 1 chord, cadential chord, back to a tonic function chord, cadential chord, back to a tonic function chord, cadential chord 4 minor, back to a tonic function chord, 4 major, secondary dominant, which reinforces the key anyway by resolving into a tonic chord, into a diatonic chord, cadential chord, and very, very cool deceptive resolution of this 2 minor 7 to another modal interchange chord, 1 minor 7. Just a fantastically cool moment there where just when you expect to go back to F major, you go to F minor and get this cool dark sort of ending to the phrase. So this kind of little Phrygian moment here. Okay, so what we're doing in our little mini project is we're trying to emulate that. Here's the project. Now I'm going to do 2 parts to this. Part 1, I'm going to just tell you how to do the project, and part 2, I'm going to give you some finale tips. If you don't care about the finale tips, you can just stop after the first part. Okay, this template is set up to allow you to print out a lead sheet, but I still want you to hand in the file so that I can see your voice leading and everything. So if you recall, the way you open up this file to do voice leading is you do Command E. And there's everything. Now yours is going to be blank. This is the demo. You're going to write your motive, you're going to put in your chords, put in your fundamental bass, and then you're going to include a drum groove if you would like to. It will come preloaded with this drum groove. You don't have to use it. You can erase it and put your own. And the reason is that I feel the drum groove might help you do something more interesting rhythmically with your motive, but you don't have to use one. Okay, that's where you fill in all your music. That's where you would play back your music as you're listening to it. Then Command E takes you back to the lead sheet view. When you print it out, you could just print out this version because then it takes up less paper, and then you could hand write out your chord scales. You do not have to put in your chord scales with finale. I will show you how to put them in with finale in the later part of the video again, but you do not have to do that because in case you run into problems, you just print it out. Okay, let's go through the project. First of all, listen to this is a demo of a project that fulfills the requirements. Okay, so here's the functional map. First of all, here's the directions down at the bottom. It says write a 9-measure mini song in a major key other than C. The 9th measure will contain the resolution chord. Use 9-for-1 tension substitution in all chords as long as it's available in the chord scale. And use 13-for-5 substitution on all dominant chords. The substitutions can include flat 9 or flat 13 on dominant chords if that's available in the chord scale. You choose your own chords, but make sure you follow the map. That will mean that you'll choose quite a lot of modal interchange chords. You do not have to enter your chord scales in finale. You can write them out, hand in that piece of paper with them written in, and also hand in your upload your finale version of your project as well. You're going to write a melody. You're going to use only one simple melodic motive. The notes of the melody have to be from your chord scale that you've chosen. During the course of your piece, try to feature 2 tensions. That means feature means a long duration note, and use some syncopation, so don't have a bunch of quarter notes and half notes and stuff, and label your melody notes against the chord of the moment. Again, you can do that by handwriting. Now here's a really important way in which we're using some of the Beatrice influence. We're going to use, your motive needs to end with a sustaining note, which is going to has to be a note that will work over 2 adjacent chords, so that the result is that the note can be held from one chord to the next, and it will create that change of color and function against the chord, as we saw in Beatrice in these moments where notes sustained over, like here and here and so on. So you actually want to build that into your piece, and it's also kind of a problem-solving thing because you really have to think about how the notes relate not only to the chord of the moment, but the next chord. So if you look at this demo, we've got one clear motive. It's being manipulated in a few different ways. It keeps the same rhythm, alters the pitches a bit, slight alternation of rhythm there. But essentially clearly one motive. There's lots of different ways to manipulate a motive. You don't have to use just my ways. You can do inversions, retrograde, etc. But you need to somehow retain a sustaining note that will go over from one chord to another. It doesn't have to be this sustaining. You could start sustaining here and go to there and so on. But look at the functions here. 9 becomes sharp 11. 5 becomes 9. 11 becomes major 7. And then this one doesn't exactly sustain over. This is a sort of shadow situation. We've got a major 7 becoming the 5th because of the need for the alteration. That kind of thing is okay too, but I'd like you to have at least a few moments where the exact same note carries over. But you can have a few like this too, where there's a shadowing of the original note because this note doesn't work with that chord scale. Okay, so, and then the other thing is, notice the harmony. Tonic function chord, modal interchange. Diatonic chord doesn't have to be tonic function. I chose to make it tonic function. You'll notice that there were a lot of tonic function chords in Beatrice. Does not have to be tonic function though, just diatonic. Modal interchange, diatonic, modal interchange, your choice. So this is your opportunity to maybe do something a little different, but careful not to modulate. And then another your choice, and then end. So out of the whole thing, you need to have at least 3 modal interchange chords chosen. So that's what you do. Those are the requirements. Then, of course, those are the compositional requirements. And then the arranging requirements are 4-way close. Actually didn't remember to put in my 9-for-1 in all of this, so that should be there. 9's in the melody, but so make sure you do your 9-for-1. If you do end up with a dominant chord, I don't think I ever used a dominant chord, but if I did, I would use the 9 that's available in the chosen chord scale. And that might be a flat 9, or that might be 13 might be a flat 13. Just go with the chord scale. And then you do all that, and then you do fundamental bass in the drum groove, and again, you hand in you upload your finale file by the due date on the obviously before next class, but by the due date that's posted. Print out and write out your chord scales, unless you want to try to do them in finale. Okay, so that's the end of this part of the video. Now I'm going to go over to the last part of the video that talks about how to do stuff in finale, more stuff in finale.